Good morning, students. Today we are going to revise lesson number 1, resources and development. First, let us start with the definition of the term resources. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resource. So whatever is available in our environment can be used to satisfy our needs are called as resources, provided it is technologically accessible. Technological accessible means the technology needed to use the resources must be available so that we can extract it and make proper use of it. And what do you mean by economically feasible? Economically feasible means we must have enough money to extract it and use it. And what do you mean by culturally acceptable? It must be accepted by the people in the society. So, in short, everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resource. I hope it is clear, students. Now, let us try to understand the classification of resources. Okay. So, resources are classified on the basis of origin, exhaustibility, ownership, and status of development. Once again, resources are classified on the basis of origin, exhaustibility, ownership, and status of development. So, on the basis of origin, we have biotic resources and abiotic resources. Now, what do you mean by biotic resources? All the living things are included under biotic resources. For example, plants, animals, human beings, etc. And under abiotic resources, all the non-living things are included, like rocks, metals, etc. So I hope it is clear, students. Biotic living things, abiotic non-living things. Now, on the basis of exhaustibility, we have renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are the resources which can be renewed. Okay, for example, solar energy, wind energy, etc. And non-renewable resources are the resources which cannot be renewed. They get depleted, they get exhausted. Okay, and it takes millions of years for the formation. So, example for non-renewable resources can take fossil fuels. Isn't it, students? When we use fossil fuels, once it is used up, it gets depleted, it gets exhausted. Isn't it? It cannot be renewed. It takes millions of years for the formation of fossil fuels. So, I hope it is clear, students. On the basis of exhaustibility, we have renewable resources which can be renewed and non-renewable resources which cannot be renewed. On the basis of ownership, we have individual resources, community owned resources, national resources, and international resources. Now, first, let us start with individual resources. So, these are owned privately by individuals, for example, houses and other property. And what about community owned resources? Resources which are accessible to all the members of the community. For example, grazing grounds, public parks, etc., are known as community owned resources. Now, what are national resources? All the minerals, water resources, forest, wildlife, and land within the political boundaries, okay, of the country, and oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles. 12 nautical miles means 22.2 kilometer from the coast, termed as territorial water. So the resources therein belong to the nation. I hope it is clear, students. Now, what about international resources? There are international institutions which regulate some resources. The oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zone belong to open ocean, and no individual country can utilize them, okay, without the concurrence of international institution. So in short, what do you mean by international resources, students? So the oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles, the country cannot use it. If at all it has to use, then they need to intimate the international institutions. I hope it is clear. On the basis of status of development, we have potential resources, developed resources, stock, and reserves. Let us try to understand all these in detail. First, we will start with the potential resources. Potential resources are the resources which are found in a region but have not been utilized. For example, Rajasthan and Gujarat have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy, isn't it, students? But so far, these have not been developed properly. So, in short, potential resources are the resources which are found in a region but have not been utilized. Now, let us try to understand what is developed resources. Resources which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. Okay, so developed resources are the resources which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined, and at present we are utilizing these resources. Now, what do you mean by stock? Most of the students get confused between stock and reserves. So try to understand, students. Stock are the materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human needs, but human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access these. So, in short, stock are the materials found in the environment which have the potential to satisfy our needs, but we do not have the proper or the appropriate technology to access these. For example, water. Water is a compound of two inflammable gases, hydrogen and oxygen, which can be used as a rich source of energy. But we do not have the proper technical know how to use them for this purpose. So, I hope it is clear, students. Now, let us try to understand what are reserves. Resources which can be put into use with the help of existing technical know how, but their use has not been started. These can be used for future requirements. So, students, we have the resources, we have the technical know how also, but these resources have not been used now, but they are kept for the future requirements. For example, river water can be used for generating hydroelectric power, but presently it is being utilized only to a limited extent. Why? Because they have been kept to fulfill the future requirements. Understood, students? So I hope it is clear. You have understood potential resources, developed resources, stock, and reserves, isn't it? Students, now let us learn about the development of resources. You all know that resources are vital for human survival. Vital for human survival means important for human survival as well as for maintaining the quality of life. It is believed that resources are free gifts of nature, and as a result, human beings use them indiscriminately. That has led to the following major problems. Now, let us learn about the major problems. Depletion of resources for satisfying the greed of few individuals. Resources are getting depleted because they are being used to satisfy the greed of few individuals. Accumulation of resources in few hands, which has led to the division of the society into two. The society has been divided into two segments, haves and have nots, that is, rich and poor. Indiscriminate exploitation of resources has led to major problems like ozone layer depletion, global warming, okay, environmental pollution, land degradation, etc. So, we have learnt about the problems due to the indiscriminate usage of the resources. I hope it is clear, students. Now, students, we will learn about the sustainable development. Now, what do you mean by sustainable development? Sustainable economic development means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of the future generations. So, what do you mean by sustainable economic development? Development should take place but without damaging the environment, as well as we need to use the resources wisely or judiciously so that the future generations also get the resources to use. So I hope it is clear, students. Students, now let us learn about the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit 1992. Rio de Janeiro is in Brazil. And what do you mean by summit? Summit means an important meeting between leaders of two or more countries. In June 1992, more than 100 heads of states, 100 heads means 100 leaders, okay, more than 100 heads of states met in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil for the first International Earth Summit. So you need to remember this, students. In June 1992, more than 100 heads of states met in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil for the first International Earth Summit. Okay, let us learn more about this. The summit was convened for addressing urgent problems of environmental protection and socio-economic development at the global level. So here this meeting was organized to address urgent problems of environmental protection and socio-economic development at the global level. The assembled leaders signed the Declaration on Global Climatic Change and Biological Diversity. So here the assembled leaders had signed the Declaration on Global Climatic Change and Biological Diversity. The Rio Convention endorsed means to approve the Global Forest Principles and adopted Agenda 21. Students, once again, we will revise. The summit was convened for addressing urgent problems of environmental protection and socio-economic development at the global level. The assembled leaders signed the Declaration on Global Climatic Change and Biological Diversity. The Rio Convention endorsed the Global Forest Principles and adopted Agenda 21. Now let us understand Agenda 21. Agenda 21. It is a declaration signed by world leaders in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, in short UNCED, which took place at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So students, what is Agenda 21? It is a declaration which was signed by the world leaders in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, which took place at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Okay, now let us learn about the aims and objectives of Agenda 21. It aims at achieving global sustainable development. It is an agenda to combat environmental damage, poverty, and disease through global cooperation. One major objective of Agenda 21 is that every local government should draw its own local Agenda 21. So I hope it is clear, students. Let us revise once again. It aims at achieving global sustainable development. It is an agenda to combat environmental damage, poverty, and disease through global cooperation. One major objective of the Agenda 21 is that every local government should draw its own local Agenda 21. I hope it is clear, students. Now let us learn about the resource planning. Resource planning is the widely accepted strategy for the judicious use of resources. So why is resource planning very important? Yes, because it is the widely accepted strategy for judicious use of resources. Some regions can be considered self-sufficient in terms of the availability of resources, whereas some regions have acute shortage of some vital resources. For example, the states of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh are very rich in minerals and coal deposits. Arunachal Pradesh has abundance of water resources but lacks in infrastructural development. If you take the example of Rajasthan, the state of Rajasthan is very well endowed with solar and wind energy but lacks in water resources. If you take the example of Ladakh, Ladakh has very rich cultural heritage but it is deficient in water, infrastructure, and some important minerals. So this calls for balanced resource planning at the national, state, regional, and local levels. I hope it is clear, students. Now let us learn about the resource planning in our country. Resource planning in India. Resource planning is a complex process which involves identification and inventory of resources across the regions of the country. This involves surveying, mapping, and qualitative estimation and measurement of the resources. So, firstly, we need to identify the resources across the regions, wherein it involves surveying, mapping, and qualitative estimation and measurement of the resources. Secondly, evolving a planning structure endowed with appropriate technology, skill, and institutional setup for implementing resource development plans. So, firstly, we need to identify the resources. Secondly, we require appropriate technology, skill, and institutional setup for implementing resource development plans. And at the last, that is thirdly, matching the resource development plans with overall national development plans. So once again, we will revise the students. Resource planning in India, identification and inventory of resources across the regions of the country. This involves surveying, mapping, and qualitative estimation and measurement of the resources. Secondly, evolving a planning structure endowed with appropriate technology, skill, institutional setup for implementing resource development plans. And thirdly, matching the resource development plans with overall national development plans. I hope it is clear, students. Conservation of resources. Students, we need to conserve the resources, isn't it? Resources are vital for any developmental activity. You all know that resources are very important for any developmental activity. Irrational consumption and overutilization of resources may lead to socio-economic and environmental problems. So, what will happen if overutilization of resources take place? It will lead to socio-economic and environmental problems. Mahatma Gandhi ji rightly said that there is enough for everybody's need and not for anybody's greed. Mahatma Gandhi ji said that we have sufficient resources to fulfill each and everyone's need, but we don't have resources for anybody's greed. So I hope it is clear, students. We must try to use the resources wisely and judiciously. Students, our next topic is land resources. You all know that land is an important natural resource, right? As it supports natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economic activities, transport, and communication systems. Have a look at this pie diagram, students. Here you can see that about 43% of the land area is plain, which provides facilities for agriculture and industry. Next, we are going to talk about mountains. Mountains account for 30% of the total surface area of the country and ensure perennial flow of some rivers. Perennial rivers are the rivers which flow throughout the year. Not only this, students, mountains provide facilities for tourism and ecological aspects. Now we are going to talk about plateau. About 27% of the area of the country is the plateau region. It possesses rich reserves of minerals, fossil fuels, and forests. So students, I hope this topic is clear for you. Today, in this video, we have learnt about the types of resources, development of resources, resource planning, and land resources. I hope you have understood the topics covered today. The remaining topics will be covering in the next video. Till then, bye and take care.